Why did Sheikh Hamdan cancel a royal celebration just moments after winning a brutal custody battle? What should have been a moment of triumph turned into one of quiet reflection and emotional fallout. Behind closed palace doors, a hidden war had been brewing, one that involved secret letters, royal punishments, and a mother determined to reclaim her children. But no one expected how far the conflict would go, or the silent power moves made by the most unlikely members of Dubai's royal family. This wasn't just a custody case, it was a power struggle laced with betrayal, tradition, and a series of decisions that would ripple through generations, and it all started with one letter. It arrived without warning, a handwritten letter from Hadia Zen, Sheikh Hamdan's ex-wife, simple in appearance, but inside, a storm waiting to be unleashed. Hadia didn't hold back. She voiced serious concerns about the upbringing of her two children, Shaika and Rashid. Her words were careful, but her message was clear. She wanted custody, not out of spite, but because she believed something inside the palace had shifted, that her children were no longer growing up in a space shaped by compassion, but by control. But what truly set the letter ablaze was one claim in particular. Hadia said she had been tipped off about a proposed arranged marriage involving their young daughter, Shaika. The rumor, unconfirmed but deeply unsettling, was that discussions were already happening behind closed doors. She wasn't just writing as a concerned mother. She was issuing a warning. If things didn't change, she was ready to take this to court. The big question wasn't just how Hadia found out. It was who told her and why. But what Sheikh Mohammed did next would flip the palace upside down. The moment Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai and father of Sheikh Hamdan, read Hadia's letter, he didn't hesitate. He didn't ask questions. He didn't wait for clarification. Instead, he made a decision that sent a clear message through the palace. There would be consequences. The first to feel it was Sheikha Thani, Hamdan's current wife. Her monthly allowance, a symbol of status and stability within the royal family, was slashed in half. No public announcement, no official explanation, just a quiet but unmistakable form of royal discipline. Insiders say Sheikh Mohammed viewed the arranged marriage rumor as a dangerous move, one that put the family's unity and public image at risk. Whether the marriage had actually been planned or not didn't matter. The fact that it had reached Hadia's ears was enough to spark immediate action. And perhaps even more surprising, Sheikh Hamdan didn't object, not a word of protest, not even behind closed doors. He accepted his father's decision with the calm of someone who knew better than to challenge the weight of royal command. And shortly after, Sheikh Mohammed took it one step further. The proposed marriage for young Shaika was called off entirely. Not postponed, not negotiated, cancelled. To outsiders, it may have seemed like damage control. But within the palace, it was a quiet power move meant to keep the family's internal chaos from spilling into the public eye. The royal household was shaken, but the real storm hadn't even started yet. With the dust still settling, Sheikh Hamdan turned to someone he trusted, not as a ruler, but as a brother. He picked up the phone and called his sister, Shaika. Shaika had always been known for her quiet strength. She wasn't the type to chase the spotlight or get involved in palace politics, but behind the scenes, her voice carried weight. And in moments like this, Hamdan needed more than legal advice. He needed perspective. He told her everything. The letter from Hadia, the punishment handed down to Sheikha Thani, the cancellation of the proposed marriage. It wasn't just a family matter anymore. It was becoming a full-blown crisis. Shaikha listened, not with shock, but with concern. She praised her brother for taking the high road, accepting the consequences, cancelling the marriage, and refusing to escalate tensions. For a moment, it felt like peace might be possible, like the royal family could still hold itself together with reason, not retaliation. Their call ended on a rare note of calm. No shouting, no bitterness, just understanding. But neither of them knew that while they were trying to protect the family from falling apart, someone else was preparing to challenge it head on. because while the royals found peace, Hadia was preparing for war. While the palace tried to restore balance, Hadia made her move. No more warnings, no more letters. She was taking the battle to court. To many, it seemed like a bold, almost impossible decision. Challenging one of the most powerful families in the world, on paper, it looked like a losing game. But Hadia wasn't backing down. In her eyes, this wasn't about power. It was about her children. She quietly assembled a legal team, reaching out to a seasoned advisor who flew in from Singapore to meet her in Dubai. Together, they began crafting a case built not on defiance, but on concern. Her argument was simple. As their mother, she believed she could provide a more grounded, emotionally stable environment, far from the rigid, high-pressure world of royal expectations. Meanwhile, Sheikh Hamdan wasn't sitting still. He and his own legal team worked around the clock, preparing a defense rooted in tradition, legacy, and security. His angle was powerful. As members of Dubai's royal family, the children's place wasn't just with him, it was within the royal framework that had shaped their heritage for generations. One key point became the center of debate: Hadia's background. She wasn't of royal blood, and while that might seem irrelevant to outsiders, in the eyes of the court it raised complex questions about lifestyle, protection, and long-term stability. It was no longer a private family matter. It was a full-scale legal war unfolding behind closed courtroom doors, and the deeper the court dug, the more dangerous the secrets became. When the day of the hearing arrived, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. No cameras, no media frenzy, just cold marble walls, high stakes, and two parents fighting for the future of their children. Hadia stepped in calm, but determined. Her lawyers laid out every concern, decisions made without her input, questionable influences in the palace, and the emotional well-being of Sheikha and Rashid. She didn't attack the royal family directly, but the implication was clear. She believed the children were being shaped by forces they didn't understand and couldn't escape. Then came her boldest move. She hinted at the proposed arranged marriage again, the same one that had supposedly been shut down by Sheikh Mohammed. But this time she wanted to prove that it hadn't been just a rumor. She needed a witness, someone from inside the palace who could speak freely, and she had one person in mind: Sheikh Hamdan's sister, Sheikha. If Sheikha testified, it could tip the balance. Not because she had an agenda, but because her word carried rare authenticity. She wasn't political, she wasn't public. She was respected, quiet, and fair. But when the time came, Sheikha declined. No explanation, no statement, just silence. For Hadia, it was a devastating blow. Without her star witness, her claim about the arranged marriage lost its weight. And while the court acknowledged her passion and sincerity, there simply wasn't enough solid proof to back it up. The room shifted, momentum turned, and suddenly all eyes were on Sheikh Hamdan and the legacy he was defending. But even with the case leaning in his favor, what he did next caught everyone off guard. The judge's final words echoed in the courtroom like a closing chapter. Custody would remain with Sheikh Hamdan. The decision was rooted in heritage, tradition, and what the court called long-term stability. On paper, it was a clear victory for the royal family. But inside the room, no one was celebrating. Hadia sat frozen, not angry, just hollow. She had poured everything into this case, her heart, her story, her hope, and now it was gone. But before she left, she did something no one expected. She turned to Sheikh Hamdan, looked him in the eye, and said one thing: "Promise me. Promise they grow up without being poisoned by power." There was no malice in her voice, just fear, a mother's last plea. Hamdan didn't deflect, he didn't justify. He simply nodded and quietly assured her that the children's well-being would always come first, above pride, politics, and even legacy. It was the only moment that felt real in a room full of royalty and protocol. Hadia returned to Germany shortly after, having spent a few final days with Shaika and Rashid. No headlines, no paparazzi, just a mother hugging her children a little tighter, knowing the system she fought against was too large to break. And yet back at the palace, something unexpected was waiting for Sheikh Hamdan. When Sheikh Hamdan returned to the palace, the atmosphere had already shifted. Balloons, music, staff whispering, a quiet buzz of anticipation floated through the halls. It was Sheikha Thani, his current wife, who had taken it upon herself to organize a celebration. In her eyes, this was a win, a royal victory, a moment to reassert power after weeks of tension and uncertainty. But the moment Hamdan saw the setup, he froze. To him, nothing about this felt like a victory. There were no enemies defeated, only wounds left open. A mother had been separated from her children. The court had ruled in his favor, yes, but at a cost. And celebrating that, it didn't sit right. He walked through the decorations, past the waiting guests, and quietly gave the order. Shut it down. No speeches, no music, no dancing. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't explain himself, because deep down he understood something Thani hadn't. Sometimes winning feels worse than losing. That night the palace was silent. No celebration, no cameras, just Sheikh Hamdan in a room far too quiet, thinking not about strategy or status, but about two children who would grow up carrying the weight of a story they never asked for. And as the lights dimmed in the royal halls, one question still lingered. Was this truly over, or just the calm before another storm? The story of Sheikh Hamdan and Hadia Zen isn't just a royal custody dispute. It's a glimpse into a world where tradition clashes with modern realities, where family loyalty is tested against personal desires, and where every decision ripples far beyond the palace walls. This legal battle has exposed not only the challenges of raising royal children in today's world, but also the fragile balance between power, love, and responsibility. While the court's ruling may have closed this chapter, the human story behind it is far from finished. What happens next for Shaika, Rashid, and everyone caught in between remains uncertain. One thing is clear: when you live in the spotlight of royalty, every private conflict becomes a public mystery, and every choice carries consequences that last for generations. We'll be watching closely and bringing you the latest as this story continues to unfold. If you found this deep dive insightful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. A royal heartbreak, a secret birth, and now a storm that's ripping through Dubai's most powerful family. Sheikh Hamdan, the beloved crown prince of Dubai, has just welcomed a new child, but this wasn't a typical royal announcement. The baby was born through surrogacy, and not everyone is celebrating. Behind palace walls, emotions are boiling over. His ex-wife Hadia isn't just upset, she's devastated. Her reaction has left those close to the royal family in complete shock. And that's just the beginning. In the last 72 hours, Sheikh Hamdan tried to explain himself, but was met with silence. Hadia made a life-altering decision that could change everything. Then, just when things couldn't get more complicated, another call came, this time from Shama, his girlfriend. What she said shook him even deeper. This isn't just a story about a royal baby, it's about betrayal, emotional fallout, and decisions that could break everything Sheikh Hamdan has tried to hold together. Let's get into it. On paper, it should have been a beautiful moment, the birth of Sheikha Hind, Sheikh Hamdan's fourth child, and his very first daughter with Sheikha Thani. But the reality, it was anything but peaceful. This child wasn't born the traditional way. She came into the world through surrogacy, a decision that, while legal and private, stirred deep emotional shockwaves through Sheikh Hamdan's inner circle, especially with one person, Hadia. For her, this wasn't just another baby announcement, it was a personal betrayal. She had already been through enough, The end of their marriage, the public silence, the private heartbreak. But this was the final blow. The man she once called her soulmate had given another woman what she once dreamed of, a daughter, and he hadn't even told her about it. Insiders say Sheikh Hamdan did try to reach out. Multiple calls, no answer. He knew this news would hit Hadia hard. He knew what they shared wasn't just a political union. It was real, raw, and emotional. But none of his efforts reached her, because on the other end of the line, Hadia was letting the phone ring over and over, her heart torn between rage and sorrow. And deep down, she already knew. This wasn't just about a child. It was about closure she never got, wounds that never healed, and feelings that never really went away. But Hadia wasn't just going to sit in silence. What she did next would shock everyone around her. For days, Hadia disappeared from public view. No Instagram posts, no charity appearances, no statements, nothing. But behind closed doors, she was spiraling. Those close to her described a woman barely holding herself together, pacing through rooms filled with memories, rereading old messages, and staring out the window of a mansion that now felt more like a prison. She wasn't just sad, she was furious, not because Sheikh Hamdan had moved on, but because he hadn't told her. After everything they had been through, he chose to keep this from her, and that to her was unforgivable. She spent hours debating whether to call him back. Should she give him the chance to explain? Should she allow herself to feel the pain one more time, just to finally let it go? The answer came to her one sleepless night, not with words, but with a decision. She would leave Dubai for good. The city that once held her love story was now a haunting reminder of everything she had lost, and she wasn't going to stay in it another minute longer. According to sources, Hadia owns 2 luxurious mansions and a private residence in Dubai. But now, she's putting them all on the market. Every last one. This wasn't just real estate, it was her way of erasing the past. And as the paperwork began, her next move sent shockwaves through the palace. Before she left, she made one final phone call to Sheikh Hamdan, and what she said would cut deeper than anything he expected. The phone rang only once before he picked up. Sheikh Hamdan had been waiting, hoping that Hadia would reach out. After days of silence, he finally had a chance to speak, to explain. But the tone in her voice stopped him cold. She didn't call to hear his side of the story. She wasn't looking for comfort or understanding. She wanted closure. No pleasantries, no hesitation, just a calm, collected storm of emotion behind every word she spoke. "You could have told me," she said, "all this time, and you stayed silent. Why?" Hamdan tried to speak, to find the right words, but all he managed was a sigh. "I didn't want to hurt you," he finally said. "I thought keeping it quiet was easier." Easier. That word hit her like a slap. "So, that's how little I meant to you?" she snapped. "A decision this big, and I find out through rumors?" Hamdan's calm cracked. "What's wrong with it? You have 2 children. Thani wanted 2. I gave her a child through surrogacy. It's fair. I treat my wives equally." That was it. Hadia laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "Equality? That's what you call this? You're a dishonest man, Hamdan." And just like that, the line went dead. She ended the call. No goodbye, no second chances. Hamdan stared at his screen in silence, a mix of sadness, frustration, and helplessness settling in. There would be no fixing this, not this time. But just as he tried to process the conversation, someone else stepped into the story and brought with them a whole new complication. Just when Sheikh Hamdan thought the worst had passed, his phone rang again. This time it wasn't Hadia, it was Shama. And from the moment he picked up, he could tell that something was wrong. Shama was never one to raise her voice. Her energy was always gentle, grounding, calm. But today, her tone was clipped, her words deliberate. "Why didn't you tell me about the pregnancy?" she asked. No emotion, just quiet accusation. Hamdan froze. This wasn't a conversation he wanted to have. Not yet, not like this. He exhaled. trying to explain. It was through surrogacy. It was an agreement. It wasn't meant to hurt you. But Shama wasn't buying it. You still should have told me, she said, before the rumors, before the internet, before I had to piece it all together on my own. Then came the truth Hamdan had been avoiding. I didn't tell you because I was scared you'd misunderstand. It's surrogacy, and that's not exactly accepted by our faith. The line went quiet. Shama didn't yell, she didn't argue, she just paused, processing everything. She understood the religious implications. She understood the emotional ones too. What she couldn't understand was why he didn't trust her with the truth. They ended the call with a strange tension between them, a silence that felt unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. For the first time, Hamdan and Shama weren't aligned. But just when it seemed like another relationship was about to fracture, the story took an unexpected turn. Hours passed. No messages, no calls. Sheikh Hamdan sat alone, staring at nothing in particular, his mind flooded with regrets. One phone call had closed a chapter with Hadia. The next had cracked something fragile with Shama. But then, just past midnight, his phone lit up again. It was Shama. He hesitated and then picked up. Her voice was softer this time, quieter. The storm from earlier had passed, but the air was still heavy. I'm sorry, she said gently. I shouldn't have come at you like that. Hamdan didn't say anything right away. He was too surprised, too relieved. I should have trusted you, she continued. But I guess I was just hurt you didn't trust me first. That line hit him hard. They talked for a long time about trust, about fear, about expectations, about what it meant to love someone in a life constantly under the public eye, and what it meant to protect each other from that pressure. By the end of the conversation, the air had shifted, the tension dissolved. They weren't just back to normal, they were stronger, because sometimes the hardest conversations are the ones that bring people closer. But the same couldn't be said for Hadia. While Shama and Hamdan were repairing what could have been lost, Hadia was already halfway out the door, emotionally, mentally, and soon physically. And what happened next made it painfully clear. Hadia wasn't just leaving Dubai, she was erasing her entire past with Sheikh Hamdan. The next morning, a real estate agent in Dubai received a quiet, formal call. It was Hadia. No emotion, no hesitation, just names, addresses, and instructions. She wanted to sell everything. Her 2 mansions, her private residence, every square meter of property she once shared with Sheikh Hamdan. It wasn't just about moving. This was a purge. Hadia didn't want to be reminded, not by a familiar street corner, not by a garden they once walked through, not by a view they once admired in silence. Dubai, the city where she had once dreamed of forever, had now become unbearable. She wanted out, and word travels fast in circles that high. That same agent, unsure of the tension but sensing something personal, made a separate call to Sheikh Hamdan. He listened quietly as the agent described Hadia's decision. Every property, every listing, every sign that she was done. But he didn't interrupt. He didn't react. Maybe he was still stunned by their last conversation. Maybe he knew this was inevitable. Or maybe he had finally accepted it. This was more than just a breakup. It was the quiet death of a shared past, and there was nothing left to salvage. But just when it seemed like the chapter had closed, life threw in one final twist. A quiet moment that hinted not at anger or drama, but heartbreak. Later that evening, long after the calls were made and the decisions were set in stone, Sheikh Hamdan stood alone on the balcony of his private quarters. Below him, the city glowed as it always did, glittering towers, endless traffic, and a skyline that had seen the rise and fall of countless stories. But tonight it felt different, quieter. He stared into the distance, knowing that somewhere out there, Hadia was packing up her life, not just her clothes or jewelry, but the fragments of memories, the pieces of a love that once felt unbreakable. There was no dramatic farewell, no final confrontation, no lingering glances across airport terminals, just silence. And in that silence, something settled. Not anger, not regret, but acceptance. Hadia wasn't walking away to make a point. She was walking away because holding on was destroying her. And deep down, Hamdan understood. Maybe this was how real goodbyes worked. Not with tears and shouting, but with quiet decisions made behind closed doors. He checked his phone one last time. No new messages, no missed calls, just peace and a little pain. But while the past was fading, one question still lingered. What now? What happens next when the dust settles and there's no one left to call? So there you have it, the story behind the headlines, the heartbreak, and the decisions that are reshaping Sheikh Hamdan's world. Hadia's choice to leave Dubai and erase her past is a powerful move, one that speaks volumes about pain and healing. Sheikh Hamdan and Shama faced their own challenges, but for now, their bond remains intact, though tested like never before. What happens next is anyone's guess. Will Hadia really start fresh somewhere new? Will Sheikh Hamdan find peace with the past? And how will his relationships evolve as new chapters unfold? Why is Sheikh Hamdan hiding his ex-wife from her own family? Her new husband is panicking. Her father is making desperate phone calls. And yet Hamdan says nothing, not a word, not a clue. No one knows where she went, except him. Behind palace walls, secrets are piling up fast. Sheikh Hamdan isn't just protecting Hadia, he's playing a dangerous game that could cost him everything. His current wife wants another child, his father is demanding obedience, and his heart, it's somewhere else entirely. So why did Hadia disappear? What's really going on behind closed doors? And how long can Hamdan keep all of this hidden before it explodes? Let's get into it. It started with silence. One morning in London, Hadia Zen simply vanished. No goodbye, no note, not even a text. She left behind a husband, a concerned father, and a growing list of unanswered questions. Her father thought she might have just needed space. Her husband, he wasn't so calm. Calls were made, friends were questioned, security footage was checked, but the truth hit hard. Hadia didn't just disappear, she fled, and she didn't run to just anyone. Whispers began circulating through Dubai's inner circles, rumors that she was under the protection of a very specific man, Sheikh Hamdan. But when confronted, Hamdan denied everything. I don't know where she is, he said flatly, even as her family grew more frantic. Yet sources close to the palace suggest otherwise. Because while the world was searching, Sheikh Hamdan already knew exactly where Hadia was. He had planned it. But why? And what exactly was he protecting her from? That answer starts with a secret mansion, a place no one was supposed to know about. Tucked away on the outskirts of Dubai, beyond the city lights and far from the prying eyes of the royal court, sits a mansion no one's supposed to know exists. No public records, no paparazzi photos, just silence. This mansion isn't just luxurious, it's fortified. Private security, blackout windows, even the landscaping was designed to block drone footage. And inside, Hadia Zen. Yes, despite what Sheikh Hamdan told Hadia's family, he knows exactly where she is, because he put her there. Sources close to the situation say Sheikh Hamdan quietly purchased the estate weeks before Hadia vanished. The plan was in place long before she packed her bags. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment escape. It was a rescue mission. Hadia was mentally and emotionally drained. Her marriage to her new husband had become a source of anxiety rather than peace. There were arguments, pressure, and what insiders described as an atmosphere that broke her spirit. And when she finally reached out to Hamdan in desperation, he didn't hesitate. He arranged everything: the private transport, the legal silence, the round-the-clock security. Not even the staff in the mansion know who she really is. She's hidden in plain sight. But here's the twist. Sheikh Hamdan isn't doing this out of obligation. He didn't need to get involved. He chose to, because no matter what their past looks like, Hadia is still someone he deeply cares about, maybe even loves. And now he's taken a massive risk, going behind his own family's back, defying public image, and holding on to a secret that could unravel everything if it leaks. But while Hadia finally feels safe, the storm outside is only getting stronger, because her father and husband aren't backing down. And Sheikh Hamdan, he's not about to give her up. On paper, Hadia's new life should have been perfect. A fresh marriage, a prestigious husband, a new chapter far from the palace drama. But behind closed doors, things weren't nearly as calm as they seemed. Insiders describe her new relationship as cold, controlling, and fast-moving, too fast. It wasn't love, it was pressure. From the very beginning, Hadia was surrounded by expectations she never agreed to. Public appearances, family obligations, and whispers that her new husband was more interested in her last name than her well-being. Worse, Hadia's father, once her fiercest protector, had started aligning more with her husband than with her. She found herself increasingly isolated, her opinions brushed off, her mental state ignored. Friends she once confided in were now being screened by her husband, her phone monitored, her freedom shrinking. It was only a matter of time before something snapped. According to sources close to her, Hadia had been quietly battling anxiety and depressive episodes for months. The smiling woman in photos was just a mask. Behind it was someone drowning, and no one seemed to notice, except one person, Sheikh Hamdan. Despite their complicated history, he remained a silent observer in her life. He knew her patterns, he recognized the signs, and when she finally reached out in a rare, late-night message that simply read, "I can't do this anymore," he responded instantly. That message was the turning point. Hamdan set everything in motion. He didn't ask for permission. He didn't tell his advisors. He just acted. Because deep down he knew, if she stayed, she might not survive. So Hadia ran, not to escape her life, but to save herself. And now, in the safety of a hidden mansion, she's beginning to heal. But back at the palace, questions are piling up, and not everyone's ready to move on. They tried calling once, no answer, then again still nothing. By the third call, Hadia's father wasn't just worried, he was furious. And her new husband, he was spiraling. Both of them had come to the same conclusion. If anyone knew where Hadia was, it had to be Sheikh Hamdan. After all, he had always been close to her, even after their divorce. Too close, some would argue. So they made the call directly to him. Sources say the first conversation was cold but polite. They asked if he had seen Hadia or if she had reached out. Sheikh Hamdan, calm and calculated, simply replied, "I haven't spoken to her. I hope she's safe." But behind that calm tone, he already knew the truth. They didn't believe him. And honestly, who would? The second call was more aggressive. This time, Hadia's husband didn't hold back. He accused Sheikh Hamdan of hiding her, of interfering in their marriage, of overstepping. But Hamdan didn't flinch. His reply was short, almost robotic. "I can't help you." Click. He ended the call. And that silence said more than any words ever could. Inside the palace, Hamdan's staff knew something was brewing. Tension thickened. Security around the estate was quietly increased. Personal assistants were told to screen every call. No outside visitors, no press, no risks. Because the moment Sheikh Hamdan took Hadia under his protection, he knew this day would come. He knew people would come knocking, but he also knew one thing. Hadia's safety was not up for discussion. Not with her father, not with her husband, not even with his own family. He had made his choice, and now he was ready to deal with the consequences. What he didn't expect was that the next call wouldn't come from them. It would come from someone far more powerful. His own father. The phone didn't ring. It buzzed with a specific alert Sheikh Hamdan had assigned years ago. Only one person in the world triggered that tone. Sheikh Mohammed, his father. And when that name lights up your screen, you don't ignore it. Sheikh Hamdan answered immediately, but he didn't say a word. He knew better. The silence on the other end lasted only seconds before his father's voice cut through, sharp, steady, and commanding. "I heard there's trouble with Sheikh Thani." No greeting, no preamble, just direct pressure. This wasn't about Hadia, at least not yet. Sheikh Mohammed was more concerned with image, with lineage, and with legacy. He had gotten word that his daughter-in-law, Sheikha Thani, had stormed out of the palace in tears. He had heard whispers of a failed conversation, a rejected offer, and most importantly, a denied chance at producing another heir. That was unacceptable. You need to be more understanding, his father said. Sheikha Thani is loyal, obedient, and most of all, willing. That's more than I can say about others you've been involved with. The message was clear. Forget the past. Focus on the family's future. Hamdan said nothing. But silence doesn't protect you from expectations. His father continued, this time with less diplomacy. You will give her another child. This isn't just about marriage. It's about power, continuity, and legacy. You're a crown prince, not a bachelor. But deep inside, Sheikh Hamdan was seething, not because of the demand, but because of the hypocrisy. Here he was, being pushed into a life he didn't want. Again, just like before, just like when they arranged his first marriage, only this time he wasn't a naive prince. He was a man who had been burned, betrayed, and who now knew how to resist. So he said nothing, but his silence, that was louder than any defiance, because in that moment Sheikh Hamdan made a quiet decision. He would not follow orders this time. And instead of heading toward Sheikh Thani's room, he walked out of the palace completely. Where was he going? To the only person who ever made him feel like himself, Hadia. The city was quiet that night. No flashing cameras, no guards trailing behind. Just a blacked out car weaving through Dubai's back roads, carrying a man with too much on his mind and nowhere else to go. Sheikh Hamdan didn't tell anyone where he was going, not even his closest advisors. He needed this moment to be private, untouched by royal duties or family expectations, because for once, this visit wasn't about strategy or responsibility. It was about escape. He pulled up to a discreet villa tucked behind layers of private security. No palace gates, no golden crests, just silence and safety. Hadia greeted him at the door. She wasn't dressed up, no diamonds, no gowns, just a warm cardigan, her hair tied back, and a smile that said, "You're safe here." They sat together in the living room, sipping coffee like old friends. The tension melted away. For the first time in weeks, Hamdan wasn't a prince. He was just a man, sitting across from someone who truly understood him. Their conversation was effortless. They laughed. They reminisced. Hadia talked about how peaceful her life had become in this new home, how the noise had finally stopped, how she could sleep through the night again. And Hamdan? He listened, not as a protector, but as someone who simply wanted her to be okay. She didn't ask for anything, no favors, no promises, just his presence. And that meant more to him than any title or throne ever could. At one point, he thought about telling her the pressure he was under, about Sheikha Thani, the baby his father wanted, the argument brewing back at the palace. But he held back. This wasn't the time to burden her. She had finally found peace, and he didn't want to ruin that. Instead, they sat quietly, watching the stars through the window. Two people, one silent understanding. And as he left later that night, something in him shifted. He didn't want to go back, not to the palace, not to the pressure, and definitely not to the life others kept forcing on him. But could he escape it? Or was this peace just temporary? By the time Sheikh Hamdan returned to the palace, the walls felt even colder. The same marble floors, the same royal halls, but now everything felt like a cage. His conversation with Hadia lingered in his mind, not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. There was a peace there, a sense of normalcy he hadn't felt in years. And walking back into the world of duties, expectations, and calculated smiles only reminded him of everything he had left behind. But peace like that comes at a cost. The next morning he woke up to a flood of calls. unanswered messages, more missed visits from Sheikh Thani, and one urgent voice note from Shama. Apparently, rumors were beginning to swirl. Hadia's father had reached out to multiple journalists, private investigators, even former friends of hers in the UAE. He was desperate. He didn't believe for a second that his daughter had simply vanished by choice. Worse, someone had spotted a luxury security convoy near a remote estate just outside Dubai, a place the media had never seen before. The details were vague, but whispers were growing. Whispers Hamdan couldn't afford to let spread, because if the truth got out, if anyone discovered that he had been secretly sheltering his ex-wife, especially against the wishes of her new husband and her own father, it wouldn't just be a family issue anymore. It could turn into a scandal. Shama warned him too. If this leaks, Sheikh Thani will use it against you. And your father? He'll see it as betrayal. Hamdan felt the walls closing in again. He had tried to keep everything quiet for Hadia's sake, for the children's sake. But secrets don't stay secrets for long, especially in royal circles. The storm was brewing, and he knew it. The only question now was, who would strike first? For now, everything appears quiet on the surface. Hadia is tucked away in her hidden sanctuary, far from the chaos she once knew. Sheikh Hamdan continues his life at the palace, balancing fatherhood, duty, and the heavy silence between him and Sheikh Thani. And behind palace walls, whispers grow louder, pressure mounts, eyes are watching. But this calm, it feels temporary, because secrets don't stay buried forever. And when those doors finally swing open, when Hadia's location is exposed, when Sheikh Mohammed's patience runs out, and when Sheikh Thani decides she's done playing nice, everything could unravel. Sheikh Hamdan is walking a tightrope. One misstep could change everything, not just for him, but for Hadia, the children, and even the legacy of his family. Will he continue protecting Hadia no matter the cost? Or will the palace finally force him to choose between love and loyalty? One thing is clear. The story isn't over yet. In fact, it may just be getting started. So if you've been following this journey, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happens next could change everything we thought we knew about Sheikh Hamdan and the hidden drama behind royal walls. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next chapter. He asked her to come back after everything they'd been through, after the silence, the distance, the heartbreak. Sheikh Hamdan finally reached out to his second wife. But what should have been a romantic reunion came with a list of cold, calculated conditions. Not just one, not two, but 3 demands that would leave most people speechless. These weren't ordinary requests. They cut deep into her pride, her place in the royal family, and even her right to love freely. And when she heard them, she realized something heartbreaking. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about power, image, and legacy. What happened next didn't just end a marriage. It exposed the cracks behind Dubai's royal walls, cracks hidden beneath diamonds, palaces, and perfect Instagram posts, and it all led to a quiet but devastating separation that still has royal watchers talking. After months of silence, distance, and unanswered questions, Sheikh Hamdan finally reached out, not through lawyers, not through royal aides, but directly. A personal request, simple on the surface, but layered with tension. He wanted her to return. His second wife, once the quiet strength beside him, was asked to come back into the royal circle, to rebuild what had been broken. At first, many thought it was a sign of hope, maybe even a rare case of love overcoming politics. But then the truth surfaced. This wasn't an invitation from a man in love. It was a carefully structured proposal, drawn up with conditions that felt more like contracts than vows. The message was clear. You can come back, but only if you accept the new rules. It wasn't about healing. It wasn't about starting fresh. It was about fitting into a system that had already decided where she stood and how far she could go. And when she heard the first condition, she realized this reunion wasn't what it seemed. The first condition sounded simple, at least on paper. Sheikh Hamdan's second wife would no longer reside in his main royal palace. Instead, she'd be moved to Zabil Palace, a separate estate with its own history, its own meaning, and its own message. Zabil Palace isn't just any residence. It's deeply tied to Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, and Sheikh Hamdan's father. By placing her there, it sent an unmistakable signal. She was being repositioned, not welcomed back as an equal. Meanwhile, Sheikha Thani, Hamdan's current wife, would remain in the main palace, the one often seen in public footage and behind the scenes of royal life. She would live where decisions were made, where presence meant power. To the outside world, it might look like nothing more than a real estate shuffle. But inside royal circles, everyone understood what this meant. She was being moved out of the spotlight, out of the heart of the royal household, and into the background. And yet that was only the first part, because the second condition, that one hit even deeper. The second condition was the one that truly broke her. She was told bluntly that if she returned, she'd have to accept Sheikh Hamdan having a child with Sheikha Thani. Not just as a possibility, but as a planned outcome. It wasn't framed as a private family decision. It was an expectation. According to whispers inside the palace, this demand didn't come from Sheikh Hamdan alone. Rumors point to Sheikh Mohammed himself, allegedly eager to see a child born from the union of Hamdan and Sheikha Thani. A child that, in the eyes of the royal hierarchy, would carry a different kind of legacy. For the second wife, this was a line that couldn't be uncrossed. It wasn't just about sharing her husband. It was about being told that her love, her sacrifices, her place as the mother of his children could be sidelined for someone else's ambition. She wasn't just asked to accept infidelity. She was asked to celebrate it, endorse it, and raise her children beside it. And yet, there was still one more condition, one final blow that would seal her decision once and for all. The third condition was less about action and more about hierarchy, but in a royal household, hierarchy is everything. She was told that Sheikha Thani would eventually take the role of matriarch over Zabil Palace, her palace, the same palace she was being assigned to live in. Once Sheikh Hamdan's mother, Sheikha Hind bint Maktoum, stepped back from her traditional position, the crown of that household wouldn't pass to the second wife. It would land squarely on Sheikha Thani's head. In simpler terms, she was being asked to live under someone else's rule. Not just any woman, but the very person who was now prioritized, protected, and promoted within the royal dynamic. Imagine returning to a home that was once yours, only to be reminded every day that you now answer to someone else, that the space you once called safe was no longer truly yours, that your title meant nothing in the presence of another woman deemed more worthy. It wasn't just disrespect, it was a complete redefinition of her status. And no matter how much she loved Sheikh Hamdan, she knew love built on humiliation isn't love at all. She listened carefully to every condition, every line drawn, every subtle threat wrapped in formality. And when the final words were spoken, she didn't raise her voice. She didn't plead. She simply said no. Sheikh Hamdan's second wife didn't want the palace. She didn't want the power plays, the titles, or the cold negotiations disguised as love. She wanted one thing: him, a husband, a partner, a man she could stand beside, not behind. But that wasn't on the table anymore. Not with the weight of royal expectations pressing down on him. Not with a father like Sheikh Mohammed pulling the strings behind the scenes. She knew that by rejecting the conditions, she wasn't just walking away from a marriage. She was walking away from everything, her position, her influence, and worst of all, her day-to-day life with her children. Because yes, she could still visit them, but live with them, raise them under her roof. That privilege would be taken the moment she refused the deal. She walked away anyway, not because she didn't love Sheikh Hamdan, but because she refused to be loved like that. After everything fell apart, Sheikh Hamdan didn't stay silent. Instead, he turned to words, a poem filled with heartache, regret, and hidden messages. The poem, titled The Sheikha Thani almaktoum, dropped quietly on October 21st, 2022. But for those who understood the backstory, it spoke volumes. Every line seemed to hint at the pain beneath the surface, the love that once was, the loss that cut deep, and the conditions that tore them apart. Royal watchers and insiders read between the lines, wondering if this was his way of reaching out, an attempt to bridge the gap that the palace politics had created. But poems don't fix palaces, and no matter how beautiful the words, the reality remained painfully clear. Some walls are too high to climb. In my next video, I'll dive deep into this poem, breaking down its meaning, its clues, and what it reveals about Sheikh Hamdan's heart. At the center of this royal drama are two little lives, Sheikha and Rashid, Sheikh Hamdan's children from his second marriage. Though the palace walls might hide their faces from the public, the impact of their parents' separation is impossible to ignore. With their mother no longer living in the main palace and their father caught between love and duty, the children's future feels uncertain. Will they grow up torn between two worlds? Will they feel the weight of palace politics before they even understand what's happening? Royal insiders whisper about the strain this split has put on the family, but few details ever leak beyond the gilded gates. One thing is clear: the innocent hearts caught in this storm are the ones who will carry its echoes for years to come. The story of Sheikh Hamdan and his second wife isn't just about palace drama or royal rules. It's about love, sacrifice, and the harsh realities hidden behind the glamour. A relationship once filled with promise was reshaped by demands, conditions, and power plays that no true love could survive. And while the palace walls remain silent, the echoes of this separation ripple far beyond, reminding us that even in the most dazzling lives, heartbreak can quietly unfold. As we wait to see what comes next, one thing is certain: love and loyalty in the world of royalty come with a price that few can afford to pay. If you want to understand the deeper meaning behind Sheikh Hamdan's poem and what it reveals about this story, don't miss my next video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an update on this royal saga. Dubai nights have always held a certain magic. The desert breeze, the glittering skyline, and the silence behind palace walls. But on one particular evening, something happened that would send whispers racing through royal circles and explode across social media like wildfire. People are asking, did Sheikh Hamdan, the beloved Crown Prince of Dubai, get caught in a moment that shattered his public image? No one saw it coming. His life always seemed like a fairy tale: poetry, falcons, luxury adventures, and a picture-perfect marriage. But one late-night incident may have changed everything, and if the rumors are even half true, it was the kind of moment that doesn't just end relationships, it rewrites legacies. But before we get into what supposedly happened that night, let's take a step back, because to understand the weight of this story, you need to understand the man at the center of it all. To the outside world, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid almaktoum, known to millions simply as Fazza, is royalty like you've never seen before. He's not just the Crown Prince of Dubai. He's an adrenaline junkie, a published poet, and a social media icon with tens of millions of followers. One minute, he's skydiving over the Palm Jumeirah. The next, he's reciting verses about love, loss, and loyalty to his country. For years, he's crafted an image of discipline, elegance, and strength, earning respect not just in the Emirates, but across the globe. And then there's his love life. For the longest time, Sheikh Hamdan kept it completely private. No red carpets, no public dates, just silence. That only fueled more curiosity, especially when he finally married in 2019 in a royal ceremony that captured the world's attention. But since then, public appearances with his wife have been rare, almost too rare. Fans chalked it up to tradition. Others, they started to wonder, because behind the filtered Instagram stories and perfectly angled shots, something didn't add up. And soon, whispers began to grow louder. It didn't start with a tabloid. It started online, quietly. A TikTok clip here, a shady YouTube video there, Posts claiming an inside source had leaked details about a late-night incident inside the royal palace. One video, uploaded anonymously, described a woman in red. Another claimed his wife walked in unannounced. No photos, no audio, just drama and a whole lot of imagination. But that's all it took. Within days, hashtags started trending. Fazza scandal popped up on fan pages. Caught red-handed headlines started circulating like wildfire. The story was juicy, cinematic even. A powerful prince, a mysterious woman, a wife who said nothing, just stared and walked out. It had everything except proof. But here's the thing about the internet. When enough people repeat a story, it starts to feel real, no matter how shaky the source. Some fans defended him, others ran with the narrative, and soon the line between fact and fiction blurred. But this wasn't the first time Sheikh Hamdan's name was pulled into controversy. And in this case, what followed might be even more bizarre than the rumor itself. While the internet ran wild with scandal stories, another threat had been quietly growing behind the scenes, one that's very real. Imposters. For years, fake accounts posing as Sheikh Hamdan have been sliding into DMs, promising love, luxury, and even marriage. These scammers use stolen photos, AI-generated voice messages, and emotional manipulation to trick unsuspecting fans, mostly women, into believing they're talking to the Crown Prince himself. And it's worked. There are reports of people sending thousands of dollars thinking they were helping Fazza out of a temporary crisis. One woman even claimed she was promised a private jet ride to Dubai. Spoiler, it never came. These scams are so widespread that the Dubai government has issued multiple warnings, but still, the fake profiles keep multiplying, and this is where things get murky, because as these imposter accounts flood social media, the lines between reality and deception become harder to trace. Some of the same accounts fueling the cheating rumors. They're linked to known scam networks, which raises the question, are these rumors just gossip, or part of something much more calculated? Because just when people started questioning the story's truth, something strange happened next. Even with no solid proof, the whispers haven't stopped. Over the years, there have been quiet murmurings about Sheikh Hamdan's private life, none ever confirmed, but always just intriguing enough to spark debate. Some say he's been seen with unidentified women on trips abroad, particularly in London and Paris. Others point to his cryptic poetry, claiming the verses hint at heartbreak, betrayal, and secret passions. One viral post even analyzed a poem he shared about love that burns quietly behind stone walls. Fans dissected every line, asking, was that a metaphor or a confession? Then there were the blurred photos, grainy snapshots of a man who might be Sheikh Hamdan, dining with someone who might not be his wife. No context, no timestamp, just enough ambiguity to make people lean in. And when his wife stopped appearing on his Instagram, that only added fuel to the fire. Some said she left Dubai, others claimed she was staying silent to avoid public shame, but none of it has ever been confirmed. It's all speculation, yet in the world of royalty, even a whisper can feel like an earthquake. But this leads us to the bigger issue. In a culture where privacy is everything, why are people so desperate to believe something is wrong? Despite all the noise, here's the truth. There's no verified evidence that Sheikh Hamdan ever cheated or that his wife ever caught him in the act. No leaked footage, no official statements, not even a credible source willing to go on record. The so-called witnesses are nameless. The videos, recycled clips with dramatic music and zero context, and the blogs pushing the story, they thrive on clicks, not facts. Even his social media blackout, something fans pointed to as a smoking gun, was likely unrelated. Sheikh Hamdan has taken breaks from posting before, especially after major public events or international trips. Silence in his case isn't always a sign of scandal. But here's the interesting part. The lack of evidence hasn't stopped people from believing it. Why? Because it feels like it could be true. And in the court of public opinion, that's often enough. We crave flaws in the flawless. We want the fairy tale to crack, especially when the main character seems too perfect to be real. But before we judge too quickly, maybe we should be asking a different question. Not did it happen, but rather, why are we so eager to believe that it did? Because this story says just as much about us as it does about him. And the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. This isn't just about Sheikh Hamdan. It's about the way stories spread in 2025. In a world addicted to gossip and driven by clicks, a whisper can become a headline in hours, especially if it involves power, royalty, and scandal. Sheikh Hamdan's clean image, his global fame, and the mystery around his personal life make him the perfect target. People aren't just watching, they're waiting for something to crack. That's how the internet works now. Algorithms reward drama. Posts that trigger curiosity or outrage rise to the top. The truth, that's optional. And the crazier part, some people want the story to be real. Not because they hate him, but because it makes him more relatable, more human. The idea that even a prince could mess up behind closed doors, that's the kind of story people eat up. Plus, there's a certain thrill in knowing something the world isn't supposed to. Sharing rumors, reposting theories, playing detective, it gives people a sense of power. It's no longer about facts, it's about engagement. So when a headline says, "Caught red-handed," it doesn't matter if it's true. What matters is that it makes you click. And maybe the most ironic part, the very silence from Sheikh Hamdan and the palace only adds to the mystery, because when there's no official denial, people fill in the blanks themselves. But there's one final twist to all of this that no one saw coming. Just when you think this story is all drama and rumors, something unexpected surfaces, something that flips the entire narrative. A few weeks after the rumors exploded, an anonymous insider spoke up, not to confirm the scandal, but to expose how these stories are crafted. According to them, much of the leaked footage and inside info were planted by rival factions looking to destabilize the royal family's image. Fake profiles, staged photos, and manipulated videos aren't just the tools of internet trolls, they're part of a larger game, one where truth is the first casualty. What does that mean for Sheikh Hamdan, for his wife, for all of us watching? It means the story isn't just about a possible betrayal behind palace walls, it's about the power of storytelling itself, how narratives are built, destroyed, and reshaped in the digital age. In a world where anyone can be both hero and villain, how do we know what's real? And more importantly, does it even matter? Because sometimes the greatest scandal isn't what happened in the palace, but what we choose to believe happened. And as Dubai's skyline glows in the night, the question remains, who's really flying away and who's just a shadow in the desert?
Today we're taking a peek into the charming world of Sheikh Hamdan's family, focusing on his adorable twins, Sheikha and Rashid, with his wife, Hadia Zen. Hadia recently shared some beautiful photos of the twins, and we spotted some intriguing details. Let's get into it. First up, meet Sheikha and Rashid. What's instantly noticeable is their hair. Sheikha has curly hair full of twists and turns, while Rashid's is perfectly straight. Looking at their parents, Sheikh Hamdan has slightly curly hair, and Hadia's is straight. It looks like the twins have each taken after a different parent. Now let's talk about Rashid's quirky habit. He doesn't like wearing shoes at all. He finds them uncomfortable and makes his little feet sweat. It's quite cute how he has already figured out what he likes and doesn't like at such a young age. Moving on to their personalities, Sheikha is quite the spirited little girl, often showing her strong-willed nature. Rashid, although he can also be a handful, tends to be a bit more relaxed than his sister. Despite being twins, it's fascinating to see their unique personalities shine. Did you know, Rashid is the older twin by just a few minutes. At birth, he was slightly lighter than Sheikha, but as they've grown, Sheikha has become just a tad heavier than Rashid. Even in their growth, they show their individual differences. And there you have it, a little glimpse into the lives of Sheikh Hamdan's twins, Sheikha and Rashid. It's amazing to see how they inherit traits from their parents and grow into their distinct personalities. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated with all our latest videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
وكمان الشعر وافري بعدين.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
تسوي بدر
عرفنا ايران حياك الله. الله يسلمك. نورتنا في العلا. الله يرفع يدك.
أشكرك على المعلومات هاي التاريخية اللي أعطيتني إياها.
والله قليل من اللي عندك يا ابوي. شرفتنا. الله يرفع.
عادل.
ناموس
ناموس ناموس.
ولدان الحمد لله. الشيخ سعيد.
يسلم على ابوي سلام وايد.
والله العظيم نفسنا
Today, we're going to talk about a secret talk between Sheikh Hamdan and his dad, Sheikh Mohammed. This talk might help us understand what's going on in their family now. Sheikha Thani told her father-in-law about what's been going on with her and Sheikh Hamdan. She also talked about something interesting that happened between Sheikh Hamdan and Hadia Zen, his second wife, in Uzbekistan. This made Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan have a private talk. We don't know what they talked about, but it's important. Let's get into it and find out more about this story of love, secrets, and family problems. Let's take a moment to chat with you directly. We've told you a lot about Sheikh Hamdan's family story. What do you think about it? How do you think these secret talks and new information might change things in their family? We really want to know what you think, so please write your ideas in the comments. Your views are really important to us and make our conversation even better. Something big happened in Sheikh Hamdan's family story when Sheikha Thani, after having problems with Sheikh Hamdan, decided to talk to her father-in-law, Sheikh Mohammed. This wasn't just a normal chat. Sheikha Thani told Sheikh Mohammed about some serious things going on in her marriage. She talked about a special meeting between Sheikh Hamdan and his second wife, Hadia Zen, in Uzbekistan. This was important because it's not common for the royal family to talk about their private lives like this. Sheikha Thani's choice to tell Sheikh Mohammed these things shows she really trusted him and maybe felt she had no other choice. What she said was about more than just arguments at home. It was about sharing secrets that are usually kept quiet in their family. We can't be sure how Sheikh Mohammed felt when he heard this. As a dad and a powerful person in the family, his reaction is a big deal. What he says or does next could change a lot of things for everyone in the family. This secret talk might change how the family members get along with each other. As people watching this story, we are left wondering about a lot. What did Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan talk about after this? How did it affect Sheikh Hamdan's relationships with Sheikha Thani and Hadia Zen? These questions make the story of this family and their complex relationships even more interesting. A very private and important talk took place between Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan after Sheikha Thani told Sheikh Mohammed about her problems with Sheikh Hamdan. This conversation was kept away from everyone else and was a big deal for the family. We don't know exactly what they talked about, but it's interesting to think about. Sheikh Mohammed, being the head of the family and a very influential person, probably had a lot of serious things to say. He might have been trying to figure out the best way to handle the situation. Sheikh Hamdan, on the other hand, was in a tough spot. He had to think about his own feelings and also what his role in the family and public expects from him. This talk was more than just a family chat. It was really important and could change a lot of things for Sheikh Hamdan and his family. After the talk, Sheikh Hamdan seemed really upset, which shows that whatever they talked about was a big deal. We can only guess what they discussed. Maybe Sheikh Mohammed gave advice or made some decisions that Sheikh Hamdan had to follow. We also wonder how Sheikh Hamdan's own thoughts and feelings were part of this talk. These guesses make the story of the family more interesting. It shows how hard it can be to balance personal problems and family responsibilities, especially when you are a well-known family. The talk was a key moment in understanding what's going on with Sheikh Hamdan, Sheikha Thani, and Hadia Zen, and how they are handling their complicated family situation. We've just discussed the secretive and possibly game-changing conversation between Sheikh Mohammed and Sheikh Hamdan. What do you think might have been said in this private talk? Your guesses and opinions are really important to us. Do you think Sheikh Mohammed gave advice, set some rules, or something else? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. It's these personal insights from you that make our exploration of this royal family story even more interesting. We're curious to hear what you believe happened in that confidential conversation. After the intense and private conversation with his father, Sheikh Mohammed, Sheikh Hamdan sought solace in a place that has always been a source of peace for him: the desert. This trip to the desert symbolizes more than just a getaway. It's a journey into the heart of his own emotions and thoughts, away from the complexities of royal life and family pressures. The desert, with its vast openness and tranquility, has often been a retreat for those seeking clarity and calm, and for Sheikh Hamdan, it was no different. In the expansive and serene desert landscape, away from the public eye and the responsibilities of his position, he could reflect on the weighty conversation and its implications for his future, both personal and as a member of the royal family. Sheikh Hamdan's choice to retreat to the desert indicates a deep need to process and understand his emotions. It's a moment of introspection, likely filled with contemplation about his relationships with Sheikha Thani and Hadia Zen, and the expectations placed upon him by his family and position. The desert, in its silent majesty, provides a backdrop for this inner journey. This trip may also signify a search for answers or a need to reconnect with himself, away from the demands and scrutiny of royal life. It's a personal pilgrimage where the solitude and simplicity of the desert environment allow for a deeper understanding of one's self and one's place in the world. Sheikh Hamdan's return from the desert could mark a turning point in how he chooses to handle the ongoing family saga. Will this time of solitude bring new perspectives or resolutions? How will it influence his decisions regarding his relationships and responsibilities? This desert retreat is not just a physical journey, but a metaphorical one, representing a quest for inner peace and direction amidst life's storms. A big part of this story is about what Sheikh Mohammed, Sheikh Hamdan's dad, wants. He really hopes to see Sheikh Hamdan and Sheikha Thani have another child. In their royal family, having more children is very important because it's about keeping the family line going. But this is tricky for Sheikh Hamdan. He has to think about what his dad wants, which is a big deal in their family. At the same time, he has feelings for Hadia Zen, his second wife, which makes things more complicated. There's also the fact that Sheikha Thani is not just his wife, but his cousin too. This makes Sheikh Hamdan not too sure about having more kids with her. Sheikh Mohammed keeps bringing up this wish, showing he really wants to have a say in Sheikh Hamdan's personal life. It's a tough situation because it shows how, in their royal family, personal choices and family responsibilities are all mixed up. Let's pause for a bit and think about something. Sheikh Hamdan has to deal with what his family wants and what he himself wants, which can be really hard. You might have faced something similar, right? Trying to make your family happy while also doing what you want is tough. I'd love to hear from you about this. How do you manage when your family expects one thing, but you want something different? Let us know in the comments. Sharing these kinds of things helps us all understand each other, and stories like Sheikh Hamdan's better. We've come to the end of our talk about what's happening in Sheikh Hamdan's family. It's a story with many different parts, secret talks, a trip to the desert, and trying to make both family and yourself happy. This story is not just about a royal family, it's something many of us can understand. It's about dealing with family, making tough choices, and trying to find happiness. Thanks for watching and talking with us about Sheikh Hamdan, Sheikha Thani, Hadia Zen, and Sheikh Mohammed. Your thoughts make our talks even better. Remember to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss our next videos. We love seeing your likes, shares, and comments. See you next time, and keep letting us know what you think about this interesting family story. Before we say goodbye, here's a quick thought. This story about Sheikh Hamdan shows us that even royal families have to make tough choices, just like us. What do you think about all this? Please tell us in the comments. Also, if you liked this video, remember to hit the subscribe button for more. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. We've got more interesting stuff coming up, and you won't want to miss our next video. See you soon, and keep letting us know what you think.
Did Fazza really reunite with his wife, or is it just rumors? Watch till the end to find out. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the latest updates on Sheikh Hamdan and his family. If you're curious about the extraordinary life of Sheikh Hamdan, you're in the right place. Everyone, how are you? Hello, and thank you for visiting our channel, where we provide you with the most recent information regarding Sheikh Hamdan and his family. As the family gets back together in Dubai, the story takes an exciting new turn at this point. Let's get into the specifics of the situation. On the 13th of December in the year 2023, Sheikh Hamdan and his twin children arrived back in Dubai, marking the beginning of a new chapter. They had no idea that pleasant experiences were waiting for them in the future. Moving forward in time to the 15th of December, Hadia Zen arrives at her mansion in Dubai, thereby establishing the tone for what is to come. Sheikh Hamdan, on the other hand, was confronted with a predicament when he was required to take his third child, Mohammed, for a stroll. Through his Instagram account on December 15th, Sheikh Hamdan provided a glimpse of his day, despite the fact that he had a very busy itinerary. First, let's have a look at these photographs that will warm your heart. During their stroll, Sheikh Hamdan can be seen here, savoring precious moments with Mohammed, who is a young child. Clearly, spending time with one's family is one of the most important things for the royal family. The visit to Hadia Zen's mansion took place on the evening of December 16th, and Sheikh Hamdan joined the twins on their excursion. Hadia had a surprise in store for them that would warm their hearts, but they were completely unaware of it. The reunion party that Hadia Zen planned and executed was a beautiful event that included home-cooked dishes. Sheikh Hamdan and the twins were in for a real treat when they were served a delectable meal that had been planned by Hadia Zen from the very beginning. These moments exude the warmth that comes from the presence of family relationships. The party was a wonderful experience for the twins who stayed with Hadia throughout the festivities. These moments caught the happiness and harmony that existed within the family, demonstrating the love that they have for one another. As the night came to a close, Sheikh Hamdan said his goodbyes to Hadia and the twins before making his way back to his palace. Everyone left the family reunion feeling happy and connected to one another. It was an experience that will be remembered for a long time. The most recent information regarding Sheikh Hamdan and his family is presented here for your perusal. I sincerely hope that you found these observations to be both fascinating and uplifting. If you got something out of this video, make sure to press the bell icon down below and subscribe to our channel so that you can remain up to speed on everything that has to do with Sheikh Hamdan. I'm grateful that you watched, and until we meet again, I hope you stay safe.
The most important question for us right now is how come you're still single?
Well,
The lifestyles of Arab sheikhs are characterized by unprecedented riches and opulence. If you watch this movie, I will explain to you how the wealthiest and most powerful Arab princes spend their lives. In addition to Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Hamdan is also the Crown Prince of Dubai. Whoever has the most money, who owns the most opulent palace, and who has the largest yacht, is going to be compared. Which one of them has the most fascinating way of life and spends money in an extravagant manner? In addition to having the most attractive wife, who is the most influential person in the political world? At the conclusion of the video, we shall determine who emerged victorious from this intense conflict. So sit back, relax, let's get started. This is the first round, political influence. He is commonly referred to as MBS. In terms of his family tree, he is the seventh son of King Salman bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia. As well as serving as the country's Minister of Defense and Deputy Prime Minister, Mohammed is also the country's Crown Prince. In addition to that, he serves as the head of the Council of Political and Security Affairs, as well as the chairman of the Council of Economic and Development Affairs. It is generally agreed that Mohammed bin Salman is the de facto ruler of Saudi Arabia and that he controls the government formed by his father. On the other hand, Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince of Dubai, is 39 years old. Fazza is the name that most people call him. Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, is his father's third son. He is the first son. Currently, he serves as the chairman of the Executive Council of Dubai. In the Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid establishment, which is a program for young business people, Hamdan serves as the president. This is due to the fact that his father, Sheikh Mohammed, holds all of the power in Dubai. And despite the fact that he is the future ruler of Dubai, he does not have any influence in the country at the time. Saudi Prince Mohammed is more powerful than his opponent, which is why he prevails in this round. This is the second round, abundance. It has been reported by a number of web resources that Prince Hamdan possesses a net worth of $6 billion. The vast majority of that wealth was bestowed upon him by his royal family in the form of an unexpected inheritance. Within the Middle Eastern region, Dubai is considered to be one of the wealthiest emirates. The wealth of Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, is far more. It is believed that he has a net worth of approximately $18 billion. This is the reason why he also wins this round. It's the third round. Education. The Honorable Prince Mohammed graduated from King Saud University with a bachelor's degree in law. On the other hand, Prince Hamdan has a far higher level of education. His education included graduation from the Dubai School of Government as well as Rashid School for boys in Dubai. He completed his education in the United Kingdom, where he received his diploma from Sandhurst and went on to study economics at the London School of Economics. Because of my studies in Dubai, which I had previously completed in the United Kingdom, I was able to see a whole new universe of opportunities. According to Fazza, education, knowledge and understanding give you the ability to look beyond the present world and into new horizons. Prince Hamdan emerges victorious in this round. This is the fourth round, real property. Luxurious palaces are a favorite of every Arab sheikh. In most cases, they are joint owners of multiple mansions. Sheikh Mohammed's family has a significant number of private properties in the royal family. The Za'abil Palace, which serves as their primary house, can be found in Dubai. It is not true that Prince Fazza resides at Za'abil Palace with his father. Rather, he resides in his very own private palace in Nad al-Shiba, which is a very good new and upscale neighborhood in Dubai. It is located not too far from Za'abil Place and is in close proximity to the Meydan racetrack. Due to the fact that the prince chooses to keep his life private, we are not aware of the specifics contained within this palace. No one has any doubts about the wonderfulness of his palace. The official residence of Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman is located in Riyadh, and it is known as the Palace of Yamama. The floors are built of Italian marble, and the ceiling and panels are beautifully carved, which contributes to the dramatic atmosphere. This is the location where the government meets once a week, and it is also where international delegations are welcomed to attend. Within the city of Riyadh, the Saudi royal family also has Al Auja Palace and Erga Palace. Nevertheless, the most magnificent palaces may be found in France, not too far from the capital city of Paris. The French King Louis XIV is honored with the naming of this beautiful house, and this is without a doubt one of the most priced private residences in the entire globe. The price tag is close to $300 million. This magnificent palace was created in the form of a traditional French noble home. The Saudi prince emerges victorious in this round, since it is rare to find real estate that is more luxurious or expensive. This is the fifth round. There are yachts. Assuming the role of an Arab royal is impossible if one does not possess a massive luxury yacht. However, which of the princes possesses a yacht that is both larger and more expensive? Dubawi is the name of Sheikh Hamdan's enormous boat, which has a starting price of $35 million. It is longer than 90 meters, which is more than 297 feet. A total of 22 staterooms, a nightclub, a guest lounge, 2 salons, an elevator, a fountain, a swimming platform, a hospital room, a jacuzzi, and a private owner's deck are all accommodations that are included aboard the enormous vessel. On the other hand, Sheikh Hamdan only recently put this yacht up for sale. Additionally, he is the owner of one of the largest yachts in the world, which is 141 meters in length and has the capability of accommodating 60 guests and 56 crew members in a comfortable manner. It referred to Yas. At a price of close to $180 million, several swimming pools, a spa, a helipad, a beach club, and a lounge bar are all included in its amenities. Most importantly, however, Sheikh Hamdan is a huge fan of his boat, Smeralda. In terms of length, it is a motor yacht that measures 77 meters. It has the capacity to cater to a workforce of 24 people and 12 guests. The price tag is $75 million, and Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman is also the owner of a private super yacht that is among the largest luxury vessels in the world. The length of the Serene extends to 133 meters, and it has the capability of accommodating 24 guests in addition to 52 crew members. The yacht has a price tag of $500 million. This is a considerably larger amount than all of Hamdan's vessels combined. Because of this, Mohammed emerges victorious in this conflict. This is the sixth round. Car collection. Mohammed bin Salman has a penchant for pricey and luxurious automobiles. His collection of automobiles includes numerous high-end automobiles, including Rolls-Royce, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Bentley, and Ferrari, among others. A collection of high-end automobiles can be found in the garage of Sheikh Hamdan. In addition to that, he possesses an incredible amount of golden automobiles, such as a Lamborghini and a Range Rover, in addition to a Bentley Bentayga and a whole fleet of Rolls-Royce automobiles. A substantial number of automobiles are owned by both sheikhs. The winner is difficult to predict. It appears that there is no victor in this round. This is the seventh round, a pastime. According to statements made by Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, during an interview, he enjoys participating in sports on the weekends. First and foremost, he enjoys basketball since it is a risk-free sport. Sheikh is not a fan of extremely dangerous sports, and it's such a dull one. Prince Hamdan, on the other hand, leads a lifestyle that is significantly more intriguing than his. There is a lot of bustle in Fazza. Skydiving, hiking, skiing, free diving, deep-sea fishing, falconry, and other types of adventures are some of his favorite things to do. Photographs of Hamdan exercising out are frequently posted on his Instagram account. These photographs may show him in a gym, riding, or even on an obstacle course. He also has a genuine affection for animals. Sheikh is not afraid of lions, camels, or horses. Poems written in Arabic by Hamdan are renowned for their romantic and patriotic themes. In this particular bout, the Crown Prince of Dubai is without a doubt the victor. This is the 8th round. Personal life and activities. The marriage between Prince Hamdan and his cousin Sheikha bint Saeed took place 3 years ago. The news that Fazza had given birth to twins, a son named Rashid and a daughter named Sheikha, was publicized the previous year. There is no one who is aware of the appearance of the prince's wife. There are only photographs of her childhood that may be seen on the internet. 14 years ago, Mohammed bin Salman tied the knot with Sarah bint Mashur, who was his first cousin. The couple has 5 children. When it comes to his private life, however, we have very little information. His wife does not make any public appearances. Just a few of her older photographs are available here. As far as rumors are concerned, this family does not have everything under control. The reason for this is because the Sheikh has a ridiculous personality and has the potential to spark scandals. A true family man, Prince Hamdan is a family man. The fact that he posts images of himself with his family members on a regular basis is not a secret. He loves them very much. Consequently, Hamdan emerges victorious in this particular round. This is the 9th round, its widespread appeal. The Prince Hamdan has an active presence on several social media platforms. There are more than 14 million people that follow him on Instagram. Prince Mohammed is also active on social networks and is eager to give interviews to journalists. Nevertheless, he does not have a particularly huge audience on social networks. Prince Hamdan emerges victorious in this particular round. Let's summarize everything. The total amount of points scored by both sheikhs was the same. It's difficult to determine who is superior. Who do you believe will emerge victorious from this conflict? Who is your favorite among the group? Please do not forget to get in touch with me and express your ideas. You are very much appreciated for watching. Please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy it. Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al-Maktoum, the Crown Prince of Dubai, was born on November 14, 1982. He is the second son of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al-Maktoum, who is the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates and the ruler of Dubai, and Sheikha Hind bint Maktoum bin Juma. From the Al-Bufalasa tribe of the Bani Yas comes Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed, who is a descendant of the clan. The Prince of Dubai, His Highness, the Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al-Maktoum, has already made a name for himself as a respected and influential leader. There is no doubt that he possesses a substantial amount of leadership traits, which are flavored with the virtues of modesty, simplicity, and charity. When it comes to this particular element, Sheikh Hamdan is following in the footsteps of his father, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. He is always eager to meet individuals without any concern constraints or boundaries, and he is always eager of doing so. He never stops working to find solutions to their issues and to follow up on their concerns. He is present with them in their happiness and sadness, despite the fact that he has a lot of severe tasks. The sight of Sheikh Hamdan driving his automobile through the streets of Dubai, eating in restaurants, or engaging in conversation with individuals is something that occurs fairly frequently. There are a number of elements that have had an impact on Sheikh Hamdan, which have contributed to the formation of his personality and the refinement of his vision. In Sandhurst, he was exposed to a military lifestyle that instilled in him discipline and timeliness. In reference to this event, he stated, "The values of discipline, responsibility, and commitment are at the center of what you learn in prestigious military academies such as Sandhurst. When it comes to carrying out your tasks in an effective manner, these values are essentially indispensable." In addition, Sheikh Hamdan has developed attributes of patience and perseverance as a result of his participation in a variety of sports, particularly those that involve horses. Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al-Maktoum was born and raised during a time when the United Arab Emirates was making rapid progress on the path of rapid development and growth. He received his education during this time period. He lived through and was a part of the experiences that led to the country's achievements in terms of both quality and quantity. Since his early days, he was continuously in close proximity to the decision-making centers of Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, which allowed him to obtain excellent expertise in a variety of fields. A descendant of His Highness, the late Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, the man who established the modern city of Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan is a well-known figure. He is the son of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, as well as the ruler of Dubai. He is a visionary and a leader who has established Dubai in the international community as the brightest rising star and a leading global business hub. In addition, he has made invaluable contributions to the spectacular development boom of the United Arab Emirates under the wise leadership of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The President of the United Arab Emirates, H.H. Sheikh Mohammed, appointed Sheikh Hamdan to the position of Chairman of the Dubai Executive Council on September 8, 2006. The Dubai Executive Council is a government body that is responsible for creating and executing Dubai's strategic, comprehensive development plans. As a result of his leadership, the Executive Council has been able to fulfill a number of significant goals which have contributed to the growth of Dubai and highlighted the city's position as a developing international hub for business, commerce, tourism, and logistics. Since he became the Crown Prince of Dubai on February 1, 2008, Sheikh Hamdan's responsibilities have grown and developed during the course of his tenure in that role. After taking responsibility for the most important files in the emirate, he has been playing a significant part in recognizing and putting into action the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid ever since that time. Throughout the years, the Crown Prince of Dubai has maintained a close working relationship with his father, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. He has gained knowledge from his father about the qualities of visionary leadership and strategic perspective, and he has also adopted the personality traits that have established His Highness Sheikh Mohammed as a one-of-a-kind world statesman with unrivaled accomplishments. Sheikh Hamdan built on his theoretical education by acquiring the practical skills of leadership and public administration from his father, H.H. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. This occurred after Sheikh Hamdan graduated from the world-renowned Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst in the United Kingdom in the year 2001. Additionally, Sheikh Hamdan attended several specialized training courses in economy from the London School of Economics and Dubai School of Government. Beginning with the time when his father was the Crown Prince of Dubai and continuing up to the present day, Sheikh Hamdan has been able to observe his father putting his ambitious vision for development into action. For as long as he can remember, he has been eager to learn from his father's court, which is known as a majlis. He continues to be H.H. Sheikh Mohammed's constant companion both inside and outside of the country, which helps him refine and polish his talents and skills even more. The responsibilities and obligations of Sheikh Hamdan increased after H.H. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum assumed his dual role as the ruler of Dubai and the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates in the year 2006. His father gradually added more responsibilities and chores to his son's list of responsibilities, and he included him in the decision-making process on a consistent consistent basis. It is His Majesty in Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, became the Crown Prince on February 1, 2008, after having previously held the position. He has taken command of the most important portfolios in the Emirate, which has allowed him to become more inclusive in the process of achieving Sheikh Mohammed's vision. As time has progressed, His Majesty has the Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, continued to work closely with his father, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Through this close relationship, Hamdan bin Mohammed was able to acquire the qualities of a leader as well as his father's strategic vision. Additionally, Hamdan bin Mohammed was able to acquire a great deal of capabilities and leadership qualities which established him as a potential future leader. His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid, the Crown Prince of Dubai, has garnered a stellar reputation for his compositions of Nabati poetry under the pen name Fazza. The term Fazza refers to a person who is quick to offer assistance and support to others in the Emirati dialect. It was the setting in which Sheikh Hamdan was brought up that played a significant influence in training his senses to recognize the boundless beauty that the desert has to give as an everlasting witness to the magnificence of the Creator. For Sheikh Hamdan, this atmosphere of harmony was important in shaping and honing the poet that he was. The opportunity to become acquainted with a large number of poets has been made available to Fazza, whose father, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, is highly regarded as a Nabati poet in his own right. Fazza received encouragement from Sheikh Mohammed, who also supported him by listening to his initial attempts at writing poetry and guiding him with his experience and his refined appreciation of art. Sheikh Hamdan considers poetry, also known as Fazza, to be an example of character expression. The following is a description of poetry that he has provided for himself: my identity and poetic character, through which I humbly attempt to rekindle joy in the hearts of people, alleviate their suffering in my own simple way. All of their hopes and dreams are communicated to me. Sheikh Hamdan was brought up in a household that places a great importance on equestrian sports. This is because of the profound spiritual connection that people have consistently shared with horses throughout the history of Arabia. Ever since he was a child, Sheikh Hamdan has considered horseback riding to be one of his most cherished interests. It was only natural that he would develop this pastime to the point that he won a number of endurance riding championships, both internationally and regionally. The most significant worldwide accomplishments of Sheikh Hamdan won the singles competition at the World Youth Endurance Championship, which took place in Spain on September 8, 2001. As of the 27th of April in 2002, the King of Spain Endurance Cup is the winner. First place at the FEI World Endurance Championship, which took place in France in December of 2005. The team won the gold medal at the Asian Games Endurance Championship, which took place in Qatar on December 17, 2006. Gold medal for team at the FEI World Endurance Championship, held in Malaysia on November 6, 2008. Gold medal for team at the European Endurance Championship for youth, held in Germany on August 14, 1999. At the European Open Endurance Championship, which took place in Portugal on October 2, 1999, the team won the gold medal. First place in the 140-kilometer Tattersalls endurance race, which took place in England on July 9, 2000. The following are some of his most notable accomplishments on the Arab community level. Won first place in the 120-kilometer Wadi Rum International Endurance Race in Jordan. Won first place in the Emirates Endurance Championship, which took place in Syria on May 5, 1999. In 2008, he won first place at the 120-kilometer Qatar International Endurance Championship in Qatar. In 2008, he also won first place at the King of Bahrain Cup in Bahrain on May 5th. In 2008, he tied for first place with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum at the Syrian Endurance Championship in Syria on May 31st. Now we have talked about Prince Fazza and his life, but if you want to know how his mother made the difference in his life, watch the video on the screen.